New agents feel like, and I felt like this, your business is correlated to the market. It's not. How did I go from basically nothing to 100 deals a year? I'm gonna give you the biggest secret in the world for a real estate agent. 2 words.
From the Gulf shores of Alabama, Ricky has witnessed the roller coaster of an up and down market, and now deliberately watches for and studies trends in every angle of the industry.
The next thing I learned was that competition doesn't exist, right? Business is unlimited. And it puts me at ease because I know now that the market doesn't control my business, I control my business. There was an article back in 2021 or so. It said, there are 1.2 million listings and there's 1.5 million agents. Yeah. That day, so the next day, it's a new 1.2 million listings. The next day, it's a new 1.2 million listings. I can't talk to every single property owner, so therefore business is unlimited and nobody can stop me from creating as many relationships as I want with property owners in my market. So now competition doesn't exist. But if you understand the law of closings happen every single day regardless of market conditions, you will make so much money, you won't know what to do with it. We don't get paid enough for what we do. Buyers think that we work 15 hours throughout the deal. And in reality, we work on average 87 hours on a deal, 90 hours. They have no idea what we do. Is my mic on? There we go. All right, let me hear the ladies make some noise. All right, fellas. What's up, dude? How are you, man? They didn't tell me I was coming to speak to the Collins County Women's Group Realtors. And I walked in here and I was like, are we going to space or Mardi Gras? I thought I was going to take me a Mardi Gras pic. How you guys doing? I am so excited about 2025. You guys excited about 2025? Make some noise if you're excited about 2025. Yes. Just the vibe of 2025. This is what I want to, I thought about it on my flight here. I got up at 3:30 this morning to come here, speak to you guys. And the big message or the thing I wanted to start out with is how proud I am of you guys for surviving 2024. I mean, like they threw every single thing in the book at us. The market was the worst since 92. The worst market since 92, and you made it through that year. They try to completely abolish buyer agent commissions. Completely abolish buyer agent commissions. I'll talk about the settlement rules in a second, but I mean, the lawyers literally said, we hope real estate commissions go down. I mean, like they wanted us to make less money. And that backfired on them pretty bad, didn't it? Right now, how many of you guys want to take 2025 and become more of a listing agent, right? Or you want to focus on listings? This is going to be the year that I'm going to deem as the year of the listing agent, the year that listing agents thrive, okay? And what's really fascinating is a couple of years ago, what were we complaining about as an industry? We were complaining about no inventory, right? Now what are we complaining about? Things taking too long to sell. It's like you can't have one without the other. So what I want you to realize going into this is how incredibly amazing the opportunity is right now to stack listings. 5-6 years ago, right? It's been about 5 or 6 years since you could actually build inventory as an agent. Things were selling in a day. Things were selling in a week. Now, days on the market, as a listing agent, when you see days on the market go up, you should be thinking, yes, I can build some inventory. My buyers will have options. My sellers will one of the biggest objections for sellers, over the past 5 years was, if I sold, where would I go? Well, now there's somewhere to go. And inventory is going to do nothing but continue to increase. So like if you're in a market where active listings are increasing, you should be thinking, here we go. Not, oh my gosh, things are taking so long to sell. We're not even, I don't know exactly, how many months of inventory does Dallas have? Okay, around 5, 4? Okay. Depends on where you are, but around 5 months is your typical balanced market. And that's where you want to be. That's the most lucrative place to be as a real estate agent, is a balanced market, where your buyers don't have to fight, they don't have to pay the highest price immediately. They can take their time and negotiate the deal, get the house they actually want. Sellers have places to go. The market's a little slower moving, but if you understand the law of closings happen every single day regardless of market conditions, and you stack listings. I started talking about stacking listings on social media since the market started to flip, and comments will roll in and say, that doesn't pay the bills. Stacking listings, getting listings doesn't pay the bills. Selling the listings pays the bills. But I have yet to find an agent that goes out and gets 20, 30, 40 listings that can't figure out how to pay their bills. You will make so much money, you won't know what to do with it. So I want you to know, number one, I'm so incredibly proud of us as real estate agents to have survived 2024. That was our 2008. That was your 2008. And everything that happened, like if you weren't around in 2008, a lot of agents think, man, I wish I could go back to 2008, 2009 and kind of start my career there. Man, I would crush it. But if you were there in 2008, it was pretty scary. Right? Same thing right this second. You're going to look back and realize this was the opportunity right here to go all in, build your influence, connect with property owners, build your business, and take your career to the next level. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on and visualize how you can take your career to the next level. 2025, great. Let's crush 2025. But let's do the things we need to do to build our career to the level that we want. Because here, I'll give you a question. How many of you guys want to be a real estate agent forever? Forever. A few people want to do it till the day they die. But most of you do not. What does that tell me? It tells me that there's something else that you would rather be doing. You came here, you spent time and money and energy to come here to learn something that you really don't want to do forever. So the punchline is, go all in right this second so that you can succeed at the highest level as quickly as possible, so then you can go do the things you actually want to do with your life. But you got to visualize this on a career type visualization, not just a 2025. In 2027, are you going to care about the money you made in 2027 or the money you made in 2025? 27, the year that you're in. But yet everything with 2027 is going to be, the seeds for 2027 are planted right now and every day from this point. So make each year the foundation for a massive career, right? And understand how to compound relationships. That's what I teach agents how to do, compound relationships. I want to teach you guys, I rewrote my 8th edition of my 90-day action plan for real estate agents. I've been doing this for 8 years. So I got in the business in 2002. I sold for 20 years straight. I started coaching agents and creating content in 2017. I retired from sales in 22, and I continued doing what I do now, which is traveling and speaking exclusively to real estate agents to help them build their business, visualize how they need to communicate with their prospects, how to compound relationships over time to build their business to the level that they want. And this is the 8th year that I've written this. And so I broke it down into 3 different phases. Okay? Generation, lead conversion, lead retention. We're just going to focus on phase 2 today. Okay? And I'll give you the entire 44-page 90-day action plan at the end. So don't worry. First, though, does anyone know where this is? Gulf Shores, Alabama. Did you guys know Alabama had beaches? I sold condos, all those condos right there. I've sold units and all those buildings and all those houses behind there and everything. But this is where I grew up. This is where I still live with my wife, 5-year-old daughter. They normally travel with me. So I do 2 or 3 of these a month, and they normally come with me. This was just a day trip. I flew in this morning. I'll fly back tonight. This is one of the most beautiful buildings we have in Orange Beach, Turquoise Place. But the place is amazing. If you've never been to Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, okay, I'm showing you what it looks like if you didn't know it existed. That's down in further. You can actually see Turquoise Place in the distance there. It's absolutely breathtaking. A lot of great seafood places, etc. So I got in the business in 2002. I'll just give you guys the quick background. I made a meal before I'm 23 because the market exploded a lot like it did in 2021. The difference is they were giving away money interest only for free. Like you could, I walked into a bank and I was like, I make $1 million. They're like, hey, here's some money. They did not check my credentials to see if I actually made $1 million. It was the wild, wild west. I'm so glad that the government did what they did with mortgage regulations because it's literally the reason why we had a worse year than 92, worse than 2008, but prices didn't go down. Think about it. The reason why prices didn't go down through this real estate crash is what it was. It's because of the mortgage regulations that the government put in place after the last crash. It cushioned us to make sure that the people buying homes could actually afford the homes. It's a novel idea. Make sure that people can actually afford what they're buying. And we were so upset at the time because it was literally, they would like cut your arm off. They wanted your unborn child and all these things just to get a loan. So the regulations put a lot of red tape on getting mortgages, but man, am I so glad that they did it because it held, bless you. Hey, if there's a chihuahua in here or if like, it took me a second. Anyway, you got me. Okay, so the market crashed back in 2000, really 5. It started coming down. I didn't sell anything from 2005 to 2008. I got back in the business in 2008, okay? And I learned the lessons I needed to learn to become the person I needed to become, to do the things I needed to do to accomplish the things I wanted to accomplish, which is what? To make $1 million a year. That's all I ever wanted in my whole, my dad owned a roofing business and literally lived paycheck to paycheck. My mom had a hair salon, lived paycheck to paycheck. We had everything we needed, but we did not have money. We couldn't go do anything we wanted to do. And we were a little bit on the poor side, to be honest with you, and I did not want to live like that. All I wanted was to make $1 million a year. I was so focused on that. So when I went gung-ho the first time and lost it all, I said, okay, market, you're not going to do that to me again. And when I came back, I said, let me learn the lessons, good Lord, that you taught me through putting me through what I went through, and let me go round 2 here. What did I learn? I'll tell you. I learned closings happen every single day regardless of market conditions. And it puts me at ease because I know now that the market doesn't control my business, I control my business. And new agents feel like, and I felt like this, your business is correlated to the market. It's not. The market can fluctuate your business, but it cannot wipe you out. Why? Because closings happen every single day, even in 2008, right? Last year, the worst year since 92, closings are still happening. Everyone in this room is still an agent. We're still surviving, and now we're on the upswing. The next thing I learned was that competition doesn't exist, right? Business is unlimited, right? People are like, well, there's only so many listings and there's this many agents. There's only this many closings, there's this many agents. You're looking at it from literally the window of this pure second. Do you know that there's more than just 1 second in time? There was an article back in 2021 or so. It said, there are 1.2 million listings and there's 1.5 million agents. Yeah, that day. How quick were properties selling in 2021? In 1 day. So the next day, it's a new 1.2 million listings. The next day, it's a new 1.2 million listings. It wasn't 1.2 million listings coming on the market every day, but you get what I'm saying. It's a river. It just keeps flowing. And when you think about it, I'll go back to the term your career. Whereas we're not focused on this year, what this prospect can do for me this year, and more, what can this prospect do for me over the course of my whole entire career? and my career is dependent on how many relationships I'm able to create with property owners in my market, I can't talk to every single property owner, so therefore business is unlimited and nobody can stop me from creating as many relationships as I want with property owners in my market. So now competition doesn't exist. And so I started to understand these principles and put it all together. And this was me, right? This was 2011. I made 100,000 calls from that desk at RE/MAX of Orange Beach. And that was when I was in the upswing. I got back in 2008, okay? So get this, 2008 and 2014 was the first year I did 100 deals. So from 8 to 14, so I make it, lose it, come back, learn the lessons. Still takes me 6 years of 15 hours a day to get to 100 deals a year. What I did in 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 was no different. So how did I go from basically nothing to 100 deals a year, doing the same stuff, working the same hours, doing the same activities, doing the same stuff? Compounding relationships. The people I met year 1 still knew me year 5, year 10, year 7, year 8. The people I met year 2 still knew me year 4, year 5, year 7. How? I'm going to give you the biggest secret in the world for a real estate agent. 2 words: weekly email. If you do a weekly email on the same day of the week forever, these people will never forget you. So why email? Because it is a social media platform, and you own the data. You own the algorithm. You put the email out, it's in their feed right then. You own the algorithm of that social media. You own the data. You should do social media, the traditional, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these things, whichever platform you decide, you should pick 1 or 2 and post every day. Yes. But understand the foundation needs to be your platform, email. With text messaging, the next layer, sprinkled with social media, and it all comes back to the email. Use social media to get the data to get into your database, your social media platform. Now you got them. Like if you follow somebody on Instagram and you engage with their stuff a couple weeks, but then you quit engaging, guess what the algorithm does? Stop showing you their content. So when your clients follow you but don't engage, the algorithm's not going to show them your content. You will continue to build brand, you'll get new followers, but you got to understand what it's good for and how to use it as a tool. Okay? So that was how I compounded relationships, is creating these emails where it was my opinions on stuff. That's what made me stand out. It wasn't cold, hard, generic, automated stuff, AI. No. I wrote it based on what I felt like was the most value for my clients that week. So by 2014, that was the first year I did 100 deals, and this is just a straight printout of 8 years worth of our MLS in Baldwin County. And I was at the top. All 8 years, I did 800 deals, so 100 deals a year. There's the proof that I did what I say that I did. There were teams there, all that stuff. I was focused on one thing. Anything that I do, my goal is simple: to be the best in the world. Every single thing that I've set out to do, the goal is to be the best in the world. I'm going to strive towards that. I may never be the best in the world, but that is the North Star. I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure it out. People have underestimated me. When I was a kid, I would say things like, I'm going to play football, or I'm going to do art, or I'm going to do this, Nobody ever believed that I could do what I said I was going to do. But I always became the best in the area, the best in the state, the best in the country at every single thing that I did, serving tables, roofing houses, whatever I did. Because once I lock into something, I'm focused on it. See, that's the problem. A lot of agents lack clarity on what they're doing day to day is going to get them where they want to be. So they jump around from this lead gen to that brokerage to this thing to this social media to this shiny penny. They never really give anything half a chance, because they do it every day, right, for a while, and then they can't visualize it actually getting them the results that they want. So then they leave. What I do is I help agents understand and visualize how you can get from point A to $500,000 a year to $1 million a year, wherever you want to be. I help you visualize that through the compounding of relationships, because to me, it doesn't matter what your lead gen of choice is. It can be social media. I don't care. But everyone needs to put their contacts in a database to do a weekly email on the same day of the week forever to show dependability, consistency, knowledgeable, professionalism, all the things they want you to be as an agent. It shows all that. And then you can actually see yourself, because it's like, okay, I got 1,000 contacts this year, right? And the next year will be 2,000, next year will be 3,000. And you can see your business having this type of shape. And now you're compounding, and you actually visualize what you're doing day to day now is going to get you where you want to be eventually. So we've got to visualize what our career is going to look like, what we really want to do with our life. And that's what I did here. I put out a video 2 weeks ago of my top 5 markets for listing agents in 2025. Okay, Dallas. Do you guys consider yourself Dallas?
Yeah.
Dallas was number 4 for me. Okay, and when I look at these markets, because it was kind of counterintuitive, because like Miami, you think about listing agents. Miami has the highest days on the market. They literally have like, I want to say they have, what was it? 10 months, 11 months of inventory, something crazy. It's like the worst market, okay? But it's my number 1 for listing agents. Why? Because it's the best market that you can actually stack listings. And guess what? Closings are still happening every single day. Austin, Nashville, Dallas, Tampa. Okay? Dallas. That's what you were talking about. The stats, okay? These can vary depending on where you get your stats from, but sales are up 12%. And depending on what area you're in, this is going to vary, okay? Look up the stats in your area, wherever you are, wherever your specific area is, okay? And think about it the way that I think about this, because I always see opportunity in every single cycle of the market. Sales are up 12%. Okay, days on the market are up 61 days. Okay, you might think, oh man, it's taking longer to sell. No, that gives you an opportunity to stack listings. Active listings are up 22%. Yes. Okay, sales are up 12%. So you telling me that I got a market here where I can get more listings because more listings are coming on. They're taking longer to sell, which means I can actually stack a list of inventory, and sales are up 12%? Thank you, Jesus. That's what you should be saying. All right. I want to pause to see how loud you guys can get for just 1 second. Just get crazy. Okay. Prices are up 2%. So like that's kind of flat, but they didn't go down and they're going up. This is a dream market you guys are in. I hope you realize how big of an opportunity this is, and you don't just wake up in 3 years and think, man, I wish I would have went all in. This is the point right here where you can actually 5x your business. Once the market rebounds and gets back to normal, you kind of miss the boat on being able to take advantage of the market being responsible for your come up. From 2008 to 14, I compounded relationships, but also the market was rebounding during that time. So it was a combination of compounding relationships and market rebound. You got to take advantage of it. I'm going to get there. All right. If you need a reason, if you need something to help renters realize they should be buying houses, just show them this. That's all you got to do. The net worth between owners and renters. I mean, that's just like staggering. It's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be worth $10,000? Or do you want to be worth $400,000? Figure out a way to buy this house. For me, the greatest opportunity right now, I'll just tell you, it's in my action plan, is to take this opportunity of new construction where the builders are going through this phase where they're giving these incredible incentives of rate buy downs and closing costs and appliances and all the stuff they're doing, and call older homeowners and say, hey, do you know about this? I see you're over here on Smith Road. Would you like to be in a new home? Because I can get you in there for probably the same or even less mortgage payment. Maybe they don't want the new home, but now a conversation is started, and now a connection is starting to brew, and now the weekly email does its thing. If they want to do something, great, let's do a deal. Maybe they want to buy something else or sell what they got, or maybe they want to buy the new construction. I don't know that part. But calling to bring value versus, hey, would you consider selling? I don't know you, you don't know me, but will you sell your house so I can make some money? That's the traditional real estate scripts. Let's reverse it. Let's say, hey, I don't know you don't know me, but can I help you do what you need to do? I know of this. If you own a home, you got a lot of equity. You put that equity down on this, it's tax-free because you've owned it 2 years. You get to erase your capital gains taxes. Put it down on this, the mortgage rate buy down, your mortgage payment is less. And you got a brand new home. Dude, if I were still on sales, there's no way you'd have to wrestle me down to the ground to keep me from the phone to try to call people to tell them about this. All right, the new settlement rules. So it does it. Click through the automations, that's fine. This, guys, hindsight's 2020. When they came out with this and started doing all this stuff, I covered the whole thing. I covered the court, through the court, proceedings and everything. But looking back now and where we are, this was great. We don't waste time with buyers anymore. They got to sign something before we show them something. Thank you. And for sellers, it's like, hey, we're just going to sign up for half the commission now. We'll just see what we can do to weasel out of some of it later. What you think? Oh, sign me up. It's such an easy conversation from both sides now, right? And with the buyers, it eliminates a lot of the tire kickers. So like a buyer calls us and we're just like, okay, and we just start flying to the moon. We start doing all this stuff. Now we're a little bit more conscious about the time that we spend on buyers because of these rules, right? It's making us a little more conscious, which is helping us be more efficient, which is literally the name of the game, because we only have so many hours in a day. If we can learn how to become more efficient, then we can sell more properties. This, to me, was great. And like I said, the lawyers, first off, the motive of the home sellers was just to make some money. And the lawyers are like, yeah, well, y'all can make $20 and we'll make a couple $100 million. And then they came out and said, we expect commissions to come down. Well, did they come down? Nope. And you want to know why? Because real estate agents are underpaid. Yeah. Golf clap. Real estate agents are underpaid. We don't get paid enough for what we do. And to be just perfectly honest with you, it's why I don't sell anymore. For the work I was doing for clients, it wasn't enough money it got to where I had enough money where I'm like, you want me to do what? For how much? Okay? We don't get paid enough for what we do. Buyers think that we work 15 hours throughout the deal. And in reality, we work on average 87 hours on a deal, 90 hours. On average, 87. They have no idea what we do. And so what the lawyer said is we're going to let the market decide what real estate agents get paid. Let's take all this out of it where the listing agent dictates what the buyer agent's going to make, and let's let the market decide, why don't we? Well, okay, let's let the market decide. But guess what, Mr. Lawyer? Here's what you didn't realize about this whole thing. The market had already decided. This was already the market price for what buyer agents were willing to work for and what they weren't willing to work for. It's not going to go down. Reason being, the same reason why if somebody comes to give you a quote on a roof and they say it's $10,000 and you say, nah, all you do is get up there and just nail a few nails. I'm going to pay you $5,000. What are they going to say? See ya. They're going to get in their truck and drive away. That's what an agent will do. You're going to pay me 1%? Okay. All I do is sign documents and show houses? Okay. Good luck. You're going to get in your car and drive off. And they're going to be stuck to do the deal on their own. Well, they're not going to do that. So they're going to have to pay whatever we charge. This is the market. It's been this way since the beginning of time. And it's not going to change just because they switch some rules around or switch how we negotiated or switch the paperwork around. So that, looking back, because we thought it was a threat on us, we thought it was a threat on what we do, and they did. They spit in our face. But guess what? It backfired on them. Because we are the most resilient group in business, and we can't go any lower because we're already underpaid. So let's get into the meat of the presentation. 15 minutes. Steps 3 and 4 of the new 90-day action plan. Excuse me. So the step 3, step 1 and 2 has to do with lead gen, setting your schedule, right? Then we get into the conversion part, okay? And I'm just kind of skipping ahead because, you guys wanted to kind of talk more about scripts and stuff. We're going to do a Q&A panel after lunch. I'm going to do some role playing and we're going to do some scripts. We'll take some questions from the audience and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of decided to focus on this part of the 90-day, was more the conversion and really connecting with your clients and stuff. Just so you realize why I picked this. But the panel before me was phenomenal. I loved everything. And most panels, believe me, most panels are kind of garbage, okay? That panel was phenomenal. Give it up for the panelists. They were talking about like treating people right and treating people as equals. And, like the young lady talked about walking into the appointment with, basically an empty notepad ready to ask questions rather than a huge, presentation about them, right? That's how I operate. And so I really resonated with everything that was said on the panel right here. Everything that they talked about is exactly how I operate and exactly how I operated when I came back from losing everything. Before I lost everything, it was all about me, sign the contract. After the deal, I'm never talking to you again. I didn't have to, right? Because it was a different time. I could call 10 property owners and say, who wants to make $100,000? 1 out of the 10 would say yes. I would list it, sell it a day, close it, and then they're not going to rebuy into that market because they just sold for $100,000 more than they bought it for 6 months ago. So they just took their money and ran. They didn't need me. They didn't really want to talk to me again. They weren't looking to do anything. So it wasn't like they were trying to be my friend. I just didn't talk to them. It was a mutual thing. Like, all right, we did our deal. Now we're gone. And I could just call 10 more people and do the same thing over and over and over again to make $20,000, $20,000, $20,000. So it was a different time. But it is how I operated. And I was brand new in the business, so I didn't understand. I thought that's how real estate was done. Like, and after I made a couple $100,000 and got into the 500 range and stuff, like I bought a gold Hummer. I had a Cadillac CTS-V. I had 2 houses. And I was like, I'm a retired business, I'm a real estate mogul. Like, I'm 21 and I'm just riding 20s. I don't care. And then the market did what it did and pulled the rug out from under me, and I had to learn those lessons. And so when I came back, I was like, okay, that's not how you do business, because the market will crash. And when it crashes, you've got to have that foundation of clients, because if closings are going to continue to happen every single day, okay, they're going to do those deals with somebody, some agent, okay? And if I didn't build those relationships up, then I don't really have a safety net when the market does retreat. When you compound the relationships, not only does it help you visualize building a $500,000, $1 million, and above business, you can actually see that happening over time. It also gives you security and a hedge against markets fluctuating really hard. If a market really fluctuates really hard like it did last year, it really helps you survive and weather those storms. And sometimes even thrive during those times. But what you do is you take those times to build it up even bigger from the market rebounds. You see, most big names in the industry, me included, came up out of that 2008 moment, okay? Why did that happen? Because we went all in on our businesses during that downtime and expanded our business, and then the market re-expanded. And it just exponentially builds your business. And what's really fascinating is that we have this same cycle, I call them mini cycles, throughout the year every single year, right? There's a busy season and a slow season. So you have your 10-year cycles, right? And then you got your yearly cycles. And it gets really interesting when you start thinking about taking advantage of not only the 10-year cycles, right? Preparing for it, and then when it happens, you saw it coming, now you're switching up, you know kind of how to position everything, but also doing it throughout the year. When you have your busy season, like our busy season was in the summer, and I couldn't keep up with all the sales, and I'm showing property and closing stuff, but then when it slowed down, I switched over to my prospecting mode, where I prospected during the off season and built my database up, and then I sold during the hot season. Then the off season, I'd build my database up more. And then every selling season, I walked into it with a larger database. So my business stair-stepped, and I made more money every single year because I took advantage of the yearly cycles, right? And then you take advantage of the big 10-year cycles. Now we're rolling. So you have to visualize this and try not to think about this business on just a singular level of how do we get listings. Yeah, we want to do that, but we also want to visualize how to build relationships and connect and compound these relationships, right? Can I get a amen? So how do we connect deeply with our prospects? I call this FE, family effect. And it's literally the ability to treat your clients just as if they're your family. And a lot of coaches and brokers and trainers, they don't really like this. But I don't really like a lot of stuff they do. So when I started to treat my clients as if they were my mom, dad, brother, cousin, I'm advising them as if they're my mother. When I started to do that, oh man, it was so beautiful because the conversations I would have, it wasn't like a real estate agent to a prospect. It was like a human to human. And what happens is really incredible because now when you start treating them like family, start asking the right questions, and you're curious about them, why they're doing what they're doing, and you go deep with those kind of things, they start to become curious of you as a human, not as an agent, and you start to become curious of them as a human, not as a prospect. And you connect on a much deeper level. You can think about this however you want to. You don't have to think about it as like they're your friend or family. You can think about this however you want to. But the punchline is that we're going to go 5 to 10 questions deep on their situation. You want to understand their situation even more than they do, meaning that you're asking questions about what they got going on that they haven't even thought about. So if your mom or dad called you and said, I'm thinking about selling and moving over here, right? What's the first thing you would ask? Why? The very first thing you would say is why in the world would you do that? And when I'm talking to for sale by owners and expireds or anybody that's thinking about selling a property, I'm kind of like listening about the house, and they're telling me about how great this house is because their house is always the greatest house in the world, right? And when they're telling me all this, I'm like, this sounds amazing. Let me ask you something. Why would you sell this amazing house? And here's the trick right here. Turn off the internal dialogue inside of your mind that's saying, what am I going to say next? Trying to figure out what you're going to say next. Telling yourself, I hope this deal happens. I hope they like me. All those things that you tell yourself while you're having the conversation. You got to turn all that off, because if that's going on, then you can't actually listen to them. And if you can turn that off long enough to listen to what they actually say, and you're thinking about what they're saying instead of what's going on in your head, this is where the magic happens. Your curiosity, your genuine curiosity kicks in, and all of a sudden you've got 3 more questions that came out of their response. And this is how you conversate and have a real conversation with your prospects. So you can't script this. There's no script. You don't know where these conversations are going. I can get you started. I can get you headed in the right direction. I can tell you where we need to end up. But you got to take the conversation in the context of they got to give you the content, and we give them the context around what it is they're trying to do and why. When I go to listing appointments, I don't do listing presentations. I ask them so many questions that they give me their presentation. They tell me what they got going on and why, and I go 5 to 10 questions deep where I understand it more than any other agent. So when you start asking these questions that most agents won't ask because they feel like it's prying too much, what happens is they see you as a professional. Because how can you help someone if you don't know what they're trying to do exactly? Like, they could say I'm selling a house, but that doesn't tell me like what they're really trying to do. Because people don't wake up one day and say, I want to sell a house for no reason in the world. There's something going on in their life that's caused them to decide, I need to sell this, or I want to sell this property. You see, a listing is not a written agreement in which a property owner hires you to sell a property. That's what we all think. A listing is a written agreement in which a property owner hires a real estate agent to solve a problem by selling one or more of their properties, at an agreed upon commission, in which case the agent can then take said written agreement and use it to leverage into other relationships and deals to find the freedom that they've always desired. That's the real definition of a listing. But most agents don't realize that. They think we're here to sell listing. No, you're not. And even when you get the listing, guess what? How many of you have a listing that the seller doesn't really care if it sells? Right? Like, it's not always a sell the listing. We need to focus on what the gentleman said on stage. We're here to help the person do whatever it is they're trying to do, which, guess what, guys? Isn't always to sell the property. That's the craziest thing in the world, but you got to understand what they're trying to do and why so deeply. Now, once we understand that, we can go to the next step, which is convert through helping. Once we have all the information, okay? See, what happens is we walk into these prospecting situations, and we have a predetermined next step. I'm trying to get the appointment. I'm trying to list the property. I'm trying to, do this, and we're going to do it like that. You have a step-by-step of where this needs to go. How do you know that? How do you know what the next step is? You don't even know what they're trying to do and why. When I call an expired, I'm not trying to relist the property. When I call for somebody, I'm not trying to list their property. I'm using when I call an older property owner and say, hey, do you know about these new homes that you could have for about the same mortgage payment, maybe less? Let's check it out. Are you interested? I'm not trying to sell that property. I'm trying to use these properties as an excuse to begin a conversation, to see if I can connect with them, to see if I can get them to tell me exactly what it is they want to do and why, which may have nothing to do with what I called them about. I represented so many expireds as buyers. I represented way more expireds as buyers who bought from me than I did who relisted their properties with me. Why? Because I'm open-minded I'm trying to figure out what you actually want to do. I'm not trying to figure out what I want you to do. I'm not trying to get you to do what I want you to do. I'm trying to figure out what you want to do so I can help you do it. So when I go 5 to 10 questions deep, and once I get to the bottom of that barrel, because a lot of agents, when they say, Ricky, I've got this seller that said they'll do this, what do I do now? And I'm like, well, why are they selling? And they'll tell me, I'm like, okay, well, why that? Or I say, okay, well, they're moving over there. Well, okay, why are they moving over there? And I'll start to go my 5 to 10 questions on them. And I'll get to a point where I hit I'll hit the bottom, and they're like, well, I don't know, I didn't go that far. I said, well, we're kind of just getting started with the information I need as a professional to help them. So the problem is they didn't go deep enough. The agent didn't understand their situation deep enough to actually know what the next step is. They're asking me, Ricky, what do I do next? I'm like, well, I don't even know what you do next because we don't know all the information. So you need to go back to them and find out all the information. Once you have all the information, now we can put together a customized plan around what they want to do. And now we know what the next step is. The next step could be anything. It could be nothing. It could be an email. It could be coffee. It could be showing property, a listing appointment. It could be, I don't know what it is. Don't know because I haven't talked to the prospect. I don't understand their situation to the fullest. When you go to a doctor and you say, oh, my stomach hurts, do they just lay you out on the table and just say scalpel and just slice you open and say, let's see what's going on in here? No. They sit you down and they say, okay, tell me about it. And they go through and they run a bunch of tests and then they get all the information. Okay, now that we have all the information, here's what we're going to do next. Does a doctor have any idea what the next step is going to be for your hurting stomach until they do all the tests and get all the information? No. This is exactly how you need to run your real estate business. And by the way, what do you call a doctor's office? A practice. Why? Because they practicing on you. When they got you laid out, cut open, they are practicing. It's called a practice. And every single patient they have, they're practicing so they can get better for the next patient. And then they're practicing so they can get better for the next patient. Okay? Every single call you guys make, the people that are scared to make calls and stuff, okay, you can go get a job. There's job openings all over for other occupations. But you're not going to sell real estate unless you talk to people. The only thing between you and $1 million a year are thousands of one-on-one conversations with people in your market. You can cram those thousands of conversations into a couple years. You can spread it out over the rest of your life. It's your choice. But every call that you make, regardless of how it went, it's just practice. It don't matter if it went bad. You're practicing to get better for the next call, and then practicing to get better for the next call. It's all practice. That's what Alvin Iverson said. You ask your prospect, okay, once you put all that together, you got all the information, you've created the custom plan, if they are ready to move forward. And look at what I highlighted in red, right? We want to create a custom game plan for the prospect around their needs, not ours, to accomplish their goals, not ours. We want to ask the prospect if they are ready to move forward. So I'm going to give you two closes, one for a buyer, one for a seller. Once I get to this part of the process, we've laid out the whole plan. I'm getting the hint that they do want to move forward. I don't know for sure. I say, hey, if it were me and I was selling this house, I think I'd go ahead and just put it on the market. You want to go ahead and do that? So I like the philosophy of 95% low pressure, 5% high pressure. I'm mostly low pressure, but don't get it twisted. I will close you so fast to make your head spin. So when I ask that question, I'm not trying to get them to move forward. That's not my goal. My goal is to see where they stand. I want to know where they stand. And then once they respond to that, again, I'm going back to the 5 or 10 questions. They respond to that. Now, like, no, we're not quite. Okay, tell me, what's your concern? What are you waiting for? I want to understand. I want to go deep. Same thing with a buyer. We're walking through a house. They love it. They're loving it. We get to the end. They're like, I'm like, listen, market's moving quick. If it were me. I always start out with if it were me. Because I am. I'm advising them if it were me. I'm advising them if they're my mother or father. If it were me, the market's moving quick, I'd go ahead and make an offer right this second if it were me. You want to go ahead and do that? No? Cool. Let's talk about that. You do? Great. We're writing it up. Okay? Cool. We'll get there. You can download the full 44 pages for free right here. I've been doing this 8 years. I've got thousands and tens of thousands of agents who have taken this, doubled, tripled, and this is the best one yet because I up to this point, I didn't have the $1 million formula dialed out like I have now. I didn't have the ABS formula dialed down like I do now. It's got about 8 scripts, strategies, the weekly email, everything is in there, okay? Totally free. Like she said, I became the world's first completely free real estate coach back in 2017. I tried some different business models, but honestly, free was the best model for me. It helped the most agents. It helped me get closer to achieving the goal that I originally set, which was to reduce the failure rate in the industry 1 agent at a time. Money doesn't move me anymore. Being number one doesn't move. I see articles about the top 20 real estate coaches, and I'm not on there. It doesn't. I don't care about accolades and credit and all that stuff. I don't care about that anymore. The only thing that moves me is helping agents who are going through what I went through, and trying to help them get over the hump and like realize this stuff that I wish I would have known back in the day. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll do some Q&A after lunch. All right, thank you.
Look, I've accidentally turned my own mic off because I was so excited. Man, that was awesome. Did you guys enjoy that?